Hi, I'm Bob Iati, partner at TABB Group, and I'm here with David Oxenstierna, a partner at Capco. And we're here today to talk about the challenges that banks face in their operations that result from the regulatory oversight and pressures, inefficiencies in their back office operation, and cost pressures. David, what kind of things are you seeing at Capco how banks are addressing this?
One of the biggest areas in banks' operations departments is how do you deal with the regulatory and the commercial pressures in today's environment. All banks have something called Change the Bank, which is essentially project work. And project work to support business growth, regulatory pressures and changes, as well as becoming more and more efficient over time. Change the Bank is an area which has gotten more and more difficult for banks to manage because of the increasing regulatory agenda at the same time as budgets are flat to declining.
How are banks who are now staffed, less heavily staffed than they have been in recent years as a result of budget cuts, etc., how are they addressing this with the sourcing challenges that they have? Are they looking external? Are they doing things internal? Are there other more innovative solutions for you?
Banks do a range of things. Change the Bank areas tend to be some of the most expensive and most difficult to manage. It's difficult to find good people. They're specialized skills. They're not necessarily the skills that banks have in abundance. And they tend to require deep knowledge of bank systems and processes and industry products, and therefore they tend to be quite expensive. So banks have really struggled with this. Sometimes banks use consulting firms for specific projects. Some banks have tried to move these functions to offshore, but it's quite challenging to do that, to find the right skill sets and make it work. So I think this is an area where banks continue to have very high costs as the need for change and project work keeps going up.
What are some of the examples that you've used, some use cases, if you will, that you're familiar with some of your customers and the way banks are operating? Can you share some of what you're seeing with us here?
Yeah, so I would. There are certain challenges that banks have around, for example, again, the regulatory agenda, the need for derivatives clearing, where it's very difficult for banks to find the right skills. So they tend to go outside to find special expertise from consulting firms. And that special expertise tends to be very expensive because everyone is looking for the same people.
Sure.
At the same time, banks also try to find less expensive ways. So they will hire temporary staff, contractors. They will try to find offshore or nearshore solutions for parts of the project work. But again, it's difficult to make that work effectively, especially as they do that in a not particularly organized fashion.
So how does that work commercially? So if I'm a bank with this problem, and as you noted, all banks have it at some level, where is it to a bank's benefit? How is a bank going to benefit by doing things, in a different manner, in a way that it externalizes or in a more innovative way enables them to use different kinds of sourcing available to them?
Yeah, so we think at Capco that there is a banks have to find a way to both access the right expertise to deal with the difficult new problems around clearing, regulatory challenges, building new businesses, at the same time as finding a less expensive over time and sustained over time less expensive solution.
Are banks very eager? When you talk to them, they're very eager to enact these kind of solutions?
I think they are very eager. They are skeptical that there is a way to do this.
Yeah.
Again, project work, Change the Bank is difficult. And various banks have tried many different things over the years. So banks are generally extremely interested because the golden solution would be to find a way to be both less expensive and also do this project work as good or better than the banks do currently. But that's hard to come by.
Okay. Last question, what's the one thing a bank needs to know here about this particular problem and potential solutions?
Well, so one of the potential solutions we think is something called change sourcing at Capco. So Capco has built a structure which we've deployed with clients, which is strategically addressing this issue. It's about enabling innovation and doing that in a commercially viable way. We're using access to very well-trained staff who knows these problems and these products and these pressures that banks are under. But we're able to deploy that solution to banks in a way that will save banks 25–30% or more, and we have done that on a number of occasions.
Well, it's meaningful. Thank you, David. I'm Bob Iati. We've been here with David Oxenstierna, partner at Capco, who has helped us define a new way that banks are addressing the operational challenges resulting from regulation and cost pressures. Thank you.
Thank you.